All right, let's talk about flybridges today. I hear a lot of conflicting comments about flybridges, and some of them don't make any sense to me whatsoever. Because in my experience, it doesn't work that way. And I understand that when they first came out, the first manufacturers that brought these to the market had explosive sales of models with flybridges. And the manufacturers that didn't have them, in particular one of them, got together their dealers at an annual meeting in a focus group, and I heard they said something like, "Oh man, we got to figure out some way to talk this down because we're losing big sales. So let's all try and think of all the negative things about flybridges." And so this is where everybody seems to get this propaganda. I just think it's sales baloney is what it is, because I don't see what they're saying does not hold true, for me at least, in my experience. And so in my opinion, flybridges are much safer than the offset raised helm alternative that we see. And because when you're sitting up higher, you can see out further ahead. Now, in limited visibility situations like night sailing, fog, heavy rain, that's a good thing, because when you're sailing around out there in the ocean, and they say there's at any given time 50 shipping containers, and they're supposed to sink, but because of their cargo, they float just right under the surface. And if you're doing like 13, 15 knots at night, you're not going to see this thing in the water until you're right on it, and then it's too late to hit it. And if you hit the sharp corner of a container on the side, because a lot of catamarans have a Kevlar strip right on the bow, so it'll deflect it. But if you hit it kind of on the side and the bow, the way the Titanic hit that iceberg, well, you're gonna get a hole in the boat and you're gonna start taking on water. So I think it's safer by sitting up higher. You can see out further ahead and take evasive action sooner. I just like the views from up there. I mean, when I'm on the boat with my friends, it's like being in the penthouse. You just have great views. And people say, "Oh, well, you're exposed up there in the weather." Well, they have these things called enclosures that they're isinglass or strata-glass that you put around, and I found that just a three-sided enclosure is just fine. I had one on a boat that we cruised for 7 months in New England, where you get lots of rainstorms and fog, and a three-sided enclosure worked fine. So I think it's safer because you can see out further ahead. Now, another thing that flybridges do, if they're fairly large, is that they add more usable square footage. And when you live on a boat, when you move from a house or apartment onto a boat, space becomes a premium. And it's like when you have a flybridge, it's like adding another floor to your house. And I just love it. And a lot of these catamarans are under-ventilated. So they have small hatches, and the cockpits can be hot when you're at anchor, because of course the boat sits into the wind, and it's just hot back there all the time. And so you always look for ways to get cooler. And so if you have a flybridge and you're up high, you can always catch a breeze in the tropics and semi-tropics. So this is where, when I'm on the boat, this is where we're hanging out the entire time. And we have an enclosure, so we can keep our laptops up there, cruising guides, charts, whatever's. And I think it makes a lot of sense. Another thing about flybridges is that you can see all four corners of the boat. So when you're docking, to me, it works better because you can kind of see where you're drifting better, because you can see the corners and sides of the boat as they move relative to like a fixed mark or dock or something, like in cross current situations. And you're less likely to crunch your hull on a concrete piling because you can see them better. You know, when you're in an offset helm situation off to the side and you're not high up, if you're forced to dock on the side away from you, it's hard to see that piling over there or that concrete dock. And so you are, you know, you're better able to dock the boat. Some people say, oh, excessive windage. Well, I don't know. I mean, it's not that much more windage up there. And I don't know. To me, the benefits just way outweigh the drawbacks. You know, some people say, oh, it's a communication issue. You can't talk to the people in the salon. Well, in my experience, we never had that. It was never a problem. On the lagoons, for example, they have a big hatch that opens up. They put it there for ventilation purposes because, you know, cockpits can be hot when you're at anchor and you're always weather vaning into the wind. But, you know, it's right behind you. You can easily talk to people in the cockpit and even in the salon because you're not really that far away from the chef in the salon or whoever you want to talk to down there. So I never experienced that. I think that's just a bunch of sales baloney that was fabricated by the manufacturer who did not have flybridges in the beginning. They realized they had to go that way or their sales would plummet. So, you know, I predict in 20 years that, you know, every boat over about 42 feet is going to have one because it just makes so much sense. So that's my 2 cents worth. If you go to my website, largecatamarantsforsale.com, you can get in touch with me. I'm happy to help educate you about catamarans and why they have so many benefits. Now, you know, there's drawbacks to them. They don't sail the greatest upwind in a chop, but, well, you know, there's nothing's ever perfect. So, give me a call, send me a text, send me an email. Let's talk about your dream boat and get you all set up. Have a great one.